Hey friends, it's Gloria and welcome back to another video. Today is going to be my spring TBR. Really a spring pile of possibilities because there's a lot on the mind. Like I've mentioned previously, I tend to be a seasonal reader. I have made summer TBRs in the past and I made a winter TBR this year. I feel like those are the two most obvious seasons for me. Like it's really easy to pick up a book that feels summery and it's really easy to pick up a book that feels wintry or set in winter. Spring is a lot more ambiguous and I don't know too many books that are very obviously set in spring or give me spring feels besides maybe the obvious of like flowers on the cover. And as I was thinking about what I was in the mood for last year during this time, I was really into mood reading, picked up a lot of books at a whim. And so today for this TBR pile of possibilities, I'm going to mention some books that I have on my shelves or checked out from the library that feel like springtime or spring would be a good time to read them. And then I decided that I'm going to pick a book off my shelves for each color of the rainbow. So I'm gonna read the rainbow, if you will. My bookshelves here are color coordinated. These are all fiction. I do have a classics and a nonfiction shelf, which I'll pull some stuff from too. But basically, I'm gonna take each color of the rainbow, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and pick a book with a cover or spine that matches that color, and those will also be added to my TBR. So I'm picking books off my shelves. I'm doing it with a fun rainbow theme, which is very appropriate for spring here in Oregon at least, because we get a lot of rainbows because we get rain and sunshine a lot of times on the same day, sometimes in the same hour. And all of this leaves room for mood reading, which is really the kind of reader that I am. I mean, I'm gonna pick some books now. Who knows if I'm gonna read them a month from now? That is the long introduction and explanation. Let's get into the books. Right off the bat, I will 100% be doing an episode 3 next installment of reading books with bees or honey on the cover. I already have a ton of books checked out from the library. I also have a whole B shelf of fiction there and a B shelf of nonfiction, which I will be choosing from. This is just a quick little sneak peek of some of the books. These are all picture books and middle grade, so that will be coming in April. And then I have a couple books that I own that feel like spring is a good time to read them and a couple checked out from the library. So first off, Spring Parade. This is a picture book. I will definitely be picking this up. I love the colors of this book. It's not totally translating on the camera, but it's very bright and fun, cute little animals. So I'll be reading that. This one doesn't really have anything to do with spring per se, but I love this cover. Checked it out from the library. It is But Have You Read the Book? 52 Literary Gems That Inspired Our Favorite Films. I love watching movies. I love reading the book and then watching the movie and comparing the two. And I think this is just a compilation of a bunch of movies and books. So I will definitely be perusing through this and maybe doing some movie watching this spring. The next two reads, I already mentioned them in my 23 books to get to in 2023, and a lot of those books cover different genres and different kind of seasons, but these two particularly felt spring-like to me. The first one is Felicity by Mary Oliver, which is a collection of poetry. It just feels like spring and new life and new thoughts and pondering, you know, that kind of thing. So I hope to be picking this one up soon. And then The Complete Tales of Beatrix Potter. This really feels like springtime because it's all these little cute creatures that live in the forest and the woods, bunnies and squirrels and sheep and whatnot. So this feels very appropriate for the season, and I hope to be picking up and perusing through this one and then crossing those two off the 23 books to read list, which I'm actually doing pretty well so far. These next three nonfictions also felt very spring. I don't know if I'll get to them, but similarly to Beatrix Potter or poems and maybe just reading a little bit here and there, the next one I have is How to Be a Moonflower, a field guide by Katie Daisy. She's an artist and this is very much like a coffee picture book with beautiful illustrations, so it'll be kind of easy to peruse through, but also feels very appropriate for spring and growth and floral. This one very obviously titled Wildflower by Drew Barrymore. I found this one in a little free library. I love celebrity memoirs now and again. I've been in the mood for them. At least last month I read quite a lot, and this one's been sitting on my shelf, so I hope to pick up the book and get it read, see what I think. And then finally for nonfiction, I was kind of looking at my shelves, thinking about what I'm in the mood for, thinking about what feels springy, and this one really jumped out at me. I want to read it and I just keep putting it off, and I don't want to put it off any longer, and that is Wild by Cheryl Strayed. I don't know if this is more of a summer read because I think she maybe hikes it during the summer, the Pacific Crest Trail, but it is about a woman and her story and the journey that she goes on. Again, wild maybe evoked that sense of springtime and animals and adventure and outdoorsiness. I hope to get it read. My journey with classics has been a slow and steady one, but I've really fallen in love with quite a few of them, and this time last year, again, I was also reading some classics. I read Jane Austen for the first time, and so I thought, you know, I really need to continue on my goal to read all the Jane Austens. I was supposed to do that in 2022. It didn't happen, but Sense and Sensibility is next on the list and high on the list. I know Jane Austen July comes around, and so summer feels like a right time to read it too, but I still have 3 more of hers to read. So I would love to read Sense and Sensibility in the springtime, and then maybe another one of hers in the summer. So far, nothing has beat out Pride and Prejudice, but I want to give this one a go. Another classic on my 23 books to read in 2023, and this one has the month in the title, The Enchanted April by Elizabeth von Arnim. This definitely screams a springtime to me. I think it's set in April, I would assume, based on the title. It's about a group of women, friends, go to Italy, I don't know, live life and take a vacation and have a good time. I've heard wonderful things, so would love to get this one read. Another one I feel a little bummed about that I didn't get to last year, and I think it was also on my like April TBR or maybe March TBR because it was green, but I Captured the Castle by Dodie Smith. I know quite a lot of people on BookTube here read it recently for the FOMO book club. I didn't get a chance to pick it up then, but I still want to get this read. This is a coming of age classic set in the English countryside. I don't fully know if I love those quiet kind of reads just yet. I don't think I've read enough of them, but this one is intriguing me and calling my name, and I need to get it read. So those are some books that I have checked off in the library or on my shelves that feel springtime to me just from a first perusal of looking at my shelves and being like, what am I in the mood for? What sounds good right now? What fits this season? And I have been reading quite a bit of books. I will probably read more than that in the next 2 or 3 months, and so I want to pull some books off my shelves for the reading rainbow theme project thing that just came to me and sounded like fun. Kind of like a twist on a TBR game, but more just mood reading and picking for fun. I mean, even just looking on these books already, I have red, green, and blue represented, so could always go for that, but that wouldn't be fun. So let's take a look on my shelves. I'll bring you with me to each section that I have based on that color, and we'll see what sounds good. So this is my red section that I have here. Right off the bat, I'm just gonna go through and pick some books that sound good. Miss Benson's Beetle. I mentioned this when I hauled it. So many people love it. I don't know if I will. I have a theory that people's names in the title aren't books for me, but I'm intrigued by it. Maybe a Fiona Davis. I still have not read this author and I've been meaning to, so I would love to get to that one. And then from this little stack, okay, so these are the 3 possibility picks for red besides Wild and Enchanted April. And I need your guys' help. I think I want you to pick because I am indecisive. I'm in the mood for any of these and I would love to be swayed a little bit here and there. So out of these 3 for red, vote down below. Miss Benson's Beetle by Rachel Joyce. 2 women, historical fiction, friendship. They go somewhere in South America or on some island and try to find a beetle. The Dutch House by Anne Patchett. I've read a book of hers. It was interesting. This is a family story. I would definitely listen to the audiobook, which is narrated by Tom Hanks. I'm worried it might be a little bit too literary for me to love it, but I want to give it a good old try. So I'm intrigued by that one. And The Chelsea Girls by Fiona Davis. One of the first Fiona Davis that I've hauled. I own a few of her books, but I really just need to cross this author off the list and finally get her read because I feel like I might really get along with her writing. Let's check out my orange section. So this is what I have for orange. Oh, I guess I should have said I have a mix of books that I've read and that are on my TBR. Like they're all together. So some of these I've already read. But for orange, what am I in the mood for? Very obviously, When Apricots Bloom. That feels very springtime. Maybe this historical fiction, The 19th Wife. I've been curious about that one. And maybe America's First Daughter. Okay, so for orange, my 3 picks are The 19th Wife by David Ebershoff. This comes highly recommended from Amanda from the Curly Reader. It is about the polygamist sect of the Mormon religion and a woman who is the 19th wife of Brigham Young, who was a prophet and is part of the Mormon religion. I think it's hard-hitting, maybe gonna give me similar vibes to 1000 White Women, which I read last month and enjoyed. I think it'll be a hard historical fiction, but probably one where I'll learn a lot and it seems really interesting. America's First Daughter, another historical fiction, is all about Thomas Jefferson's daughter, Patsy Jefferson. I love a good historical fiction that focuses on a singular character in history that maybe we don't know too much about. And When the Apricots Bloom. This is a contemporary fiction. It's set in Baghdad, Iraq during Saddam Hussein's rule and about a woman, maybe something with spying and going to an embassy and fleeing persecution, potentially something along those lines. But I love that this is a very unique setting that I haven't read a lot about at all. Those are my 3 picks for orange. Please vote down below. Let me know which one I should read. Okay, yellow. This is my yellow section. I obviously have yellow books over there with bees, and I have already some ideas for the bee themed, but this is more yellow. These are more gold, which kind of counts as yellow. What am I in the mood for from this stack? Maybe Flight of the Sparrow. Okay, so my 3 picks for yellow are, the first one is Song of a Captive Bird by Jasmine Darznik. This one feels quite springy, maybe even a little summery, but I know that this is set in Iran, and I don't know any other details, but I want to read more diverse historical fiction, and I would love to read more books set in the Middle East. I've really only read The Kite Runner. These next 2 are historical fiction. They're not really yellow on the cover per se, but they are on the spine. So Flight of the Sparrow I mentioned in a haul. This is like an early colonial set in 1676 in Massachusetts, about a woman maybe getting captured by Native Americans. I'm not entirely sure. It is a slim little read. And The German Wife by Kelly Rimmer, an author that I want to read. I've heard really good things about this. This book gets quite high reviews from what I've seen a few people that have read it before. This is obviously set during the war, 1930 and 1950. 1930 in Germany, 1950 in Alabama. Dual timelines, not my favorite. Probably multiple perspective, also not my favorite, but I've heard really good things. Those are my 3 picks for yellow. Please vote down below. So for green, I have a short little stack, not too many to choose from here. I don't really know what I'm in the mood for. I'm not really in the mood for any of those in that stack for some reason. So I'm just gonna say I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith, which I talked about. That's gonna be my green pick, and you don't get a vote on this one. I'm just gonna read this book or another green one that I find in between now and the end of June maybe, but I would love to get this one read, so that'll be my pick. So blue and indigo, I had to look up what's the difference. And blue is gonna be more like lighter blue, brighter blue, turquoisey kind of vibe, and then indigo is gonna be a dark blue. I think the closest color to that blue is actually this Beatrix Potter collection, so that could definitely work. Or Sense and Sensibility, it's this like lighter blue. But let's take a look. I have some turquoisey books there. See if any spark my interest. So here we have all of these like lighter blue books, and they're 99.9% all historical fiction. Some I've read, some I haven't. Let's see. I read What Alice Forgot last year during this time and absolutely loved it. So I think I'm just gonna pick one. You guys don't get an option for this one. I love some contemporary reads now and again. I love Leanne Moriarty, so this is my pick. Slowly my shelves are falling apart behind me as I continue this rainbow search, but The Hypnotist Love Story, that's gonna be my pick for blue. Obviously I have all these 3 that are blue, but I want to read more Moriarty. I've read a few of her books. I've really loved my time with all of them. She has a very extensive backlist. So this has to do with a woman who meets a man, and then potentially there's an ex-girlfriend stalking this guy, and it's mysterious, probably set in Australia like all of Moriarty's books are, but I'm intrigued. I love her writing and her storytelling, so that's my pick. This is what we have for indigo and a dark blue. I also have some dark blue in my middle grade little section there, but from this pick, let's see, maybe something from this stack. Okay, I have my 3 indigo / dark blue picks. The first one is A Piece of the World by Christina Baker Klein. This is a historical fiction author. I've read 2 of her books before, Orphan Train and Exiles. Really enjoyed them. This is another one of hers that I own. I don't really know what this one's about. Zero idea on the premise, but I am interested to read more of her books. Then we have Good Morning Midnight, a book I have not heard anyone talk about. I think I found this in a little free library, by Lily Brooks Dalton. Now the premise of this one sounds incredible, almost too good to be true. It's a very slim read, so I can't imagine this is going to be like amazing, but I could be surprised. So this is post-apocalyptic, the world transformed after some disaster. There's 2 people that are stranded together, a guy who is an astronomer at a research station in the Arctic, and a child that gets left behind. And then there's also a separate group of people that are on their way home from a return flight from Jupiter, a space mission, and they lose contact with Earth and mission control, so they're trying to figure out how to survive. So me and my husband are currently watching The Last of Us, as with everyone else in the world, and this is giving me a little bit of that vibe. So like a father-daughter, father-son figure trying to survive in a post-apocalyptic world, and then also The Martian, about like a group of astronauts trying to survive in space and trying to contact Earth and figure out how to get home. Those 2 worlds collide. Sounds so good and so intriguing. Again, I don't know if this little book can pull it off, but doesn't it just sound so good? So those 2. And then my 3rd pick is The Invention of Hugo Cabret by Brian Selznick. This is a middle grade chunky one, but it's also filled with some illustrations and like black and white stuff. I've heard fantastic things about this author. I have not read from him before. So those are my 3 picks for indigo. So please vote down below of what you would like me to read out of these 3. And last but not least, a violet or purple. I literally only have 3 books that are purple, and they're right here, so I'm just gonna pick them up and let you vote. The one I feel like the most I should read, maybe because I've just had it on my shelves forever, is As Bright as Heaven by Susan Meisner, a historical fiction author that I have loved reading from in the past, and this has just been on my TBR forever. I've been saying I'm gonna read it, but I haven't gotten to it yet, so that's one choice. Then the book that I feel like I should read, because I can't believe I haven't, The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, a classic. I don't know if I'm gonna get along with this author. I know a lot of people love this book, but it might be a little bit too literary, brainy, or like over the head for me. It's also quite tragic. I know that. It's like hard to read, but I feel like I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't even try. And then Booth by Karen Joy Fowler. This is another historical fiction around the Booth family. One of the sons is the one that killed Abraham Lincoln. I've also heard really good things about this one. This one got some love last year. And so those are my 3 violet/purple picks. Please vote for one of those. Okay, so my shelves are a mess. I have so many possibilities, so many wonderful books that I want to read. I kind of love this idea of keeping it open, mood reading a little bit, but also letting you guys help me decide, because I'm indecisive. So please do me a favor and vote down below whichever books you'd love me to read. Vote for each color if you can, and then I'll tally up the totals, and just really gonna try to read those books. No promises, because you know, life is life, but I'm gonna try because I think it's just really fun. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you think of all this, any of the books that I mentioned in this video, if you've read them or have any thoughts. I love reading your guys' comments and chatting down below. As always, thank you so much for tuning in and spending time with me, and I will see you guys in another video soon. Bye.